Get the tables! Welcome to BookIt Wrestling Podcast for the fans, by the fans. Read book, rebook, and revisit your favorite wrestling storylines. I'm your Commissioner Lil X Fudge, and today we are here with your GM. Start with the Moan D Money.
Cheerio.
The bad guy, Kenny.
Oh, yeah.
We can never see his ooh yeah. Shameful, honestly. The about, I don't know, third return of High Five Mike.
Party on, Garth.
And then the third straight return of I am Travvy T.
It's only the second, but I appreciate it. Also, I just want to say your hair today kind of looks like a mushroom with a cape on. I fuck with it.
I'm giving the craziest
telling you.
interest just to get told it looks like Toad. Hey,
You look like a fun guy.
Last week. Fuck
You look like a fun guy.
Damn it.
Hey, fuck you and that zero.
And to me.
Speaking of zeros, speaking of BookItverse, speaking of all our good things we do around here, we're still in that thick of the woods, and we are delving into finishing round one of.
Hold on.
I don't know what he meant by. I don't know what he meant. Thick of the woods.
Like, what? For the listening audience, that was Mari Joe back there that said it's me. Because John didn't give him an entrance. He didn't give him any intro or nothing.
Oh,
just let me big on screen once again.
MJOF's here too. Fuck him. There you go. But we are continuing on with KOC, No Remorse. So, Travvy T, tell us a little bit more about your show.
It's a good one. That's what I can say about that. No, but let's get into it. All right, you got my pictures on the screen. Put me on top, Damone. You don't get to be on top when I'm presenting. All right, while he's figuring that out, at Kingdom Come, the protostar Kyle Fletcher went head-to-head with one of the most ruthless members of the KOC roster, International Heavyweight Champion Josh Alexander. This was Kyle Fletcher's first career championship opportunity, and he didn't let it go to waste. Not only did he do the impossible and kick out of the C4 spike, the first man to ever do so, Fletcher was able to ride that wave of momentum into a top rope brainbuster onto the turnbuckle to put Alexander away to win his first championship in KOC. The young champion makes his way to the ring for a promo on the following episode of Clash. Kyle Fletcher promises the KOC audience that he will be a fighting champion. He promises to face any challenger and earn his legacy as he attempts to become the greatest international heavyweight champion of all time. Later that night, Fletcher is approached backstage by Steve Corino. Hey kid, congratulations. Earning that title is no easy feat, and you should be proud of yourself. Just don't spend too much time patting yourself on the back, because the more you do, the deeper you plant the target that's now on it. See, you thought getting the title was hard? Keeping it is going to be impossible. Every single man in that locker room right now is looking at you. They're looking through you. See, you go out there and you paint this picture for the world, a young man full of confidence, ready to face the world, ready to destroy his future to maintain his present. That's what everybody out there saw tonight, a symbol of hard work and discipline personified. You know what the boys in the back saw? A rookie, a child, a boy with a belt he doesn't deserve. See, there's guys in the back that have been wrestling for nearly as long as you've been alive, and they've never been able to compete for that title. Yet here you are holding it. Have you earned your stripes? It's not for me to say. I just want you to know there's nobody back in that locker room that you can trust. I know because I hear what they say when you're not standing there. Sure, they smile in your face, they pat you on the back, but once that back is turned, they'll sink a knife in it to take that. Corino puts his index finger on the IH title. These men are not your friends. This isn't kindercare. It's survival of the fittest. They will chop your head off to save the oxygen in the room for themselves. It's not a pack of wolves, a fraternity built on brotherhood. It's a room full of opportunists waiting for Kyle Fletcher to slip, waiting for the protostar to make a mistake. The second you do, your world will come crashing down. Your friends will betray you, and every single person on this roster will come for your head as they try to pry that title from your hands. Carino pauses as he looks into Fletcher's eyes. I'm not telling you this to sound jaded. I'm telling you this because you're about to get dragged into the deepest waters you've ever seen in your career. And if I'm being honest, I think you're going to drown. Fletcher's face fills with anger as Carino says this. Carino smirks. Good. I'm glad that made you bad. Now, go prove me wrong. Carino smacks the IH title and walks away as Fletcher watches with frustration. The next week on Clash, Kyle Fletcher faces off against Dean Malenko for his first title defense. Fletcher nearly taps out to the Texas Cloverleaf, but is able to survive and find a way to win the match and retain his title. Later on in the night, Steve Carino once again approaches Fletcher backstage. That was a hell of a match out there, Fletch. Malenko's one of the best in the world, and not only did you hang with him, he pushed you to your breaking point. And you know what? You pushed yourself further and found a way to win. I'm proud of you, kid. Keep that head on the swivel. They're coming for you. Carino smiles as he slaps the IH title and walks off. Kyle Fletcher faces off against Mike Quackenbush for his second title defense. Steve Carino joins the commentary desk for the match. Carino puts Kyle Fletcher over as the future of the business, but again sends Fletcher the warning that many of the men in the back will snuff out Fletcher's future to preserve their own present. Fletcher reverses a Quacken driver into a Grimstone pile driver to retain the title. After the match, Carino leaves the desk and joins the International Heavyweight Champion in the ring. Fletch, I think I may have been wrong about you after all. See, pal? I thought you were walking down death row with a death wish. I didn't think you had the experience behind you to survive and defend your title against all comers. I was partially wrong. What you lack in experience, you make up for in grit and heart. The crowd cheers for the protostar as Carino pauses. But that only gets you so far. Eventually, someone with experience beyond your imagination is going to know all of your tricks. They're going to see through your game plan. They're going to know your plan A, plan B, C, D, E, F, G. It doesn't matter how many times you pivot. It doesn't matter how many times you bite down on the mouth guard and push forward. Eventually, your body will fail you, and a veteran is going to pick you apart. It doesn't have to be that way, though. There's a reason I came out and sat at commentary for your match tonight. I wanted a front row seat to see the protostar in action. I see a bright future in you, kid. I think I can help you make it even brighter. I can't wrestle anymore. My back injury took me out the game. My body failed me, so let me use my brain to help you. What I lack in physical abilities these days, you have in abundance. The experience you need to keep that title, I have beyond your wildest imagination. Together, we can make you the greatest international heavyweight champion of all time. What do you say, kid? Steve Carino extends his hand and Fletcher looks down at it. The protostar then looks out to the crowd and then back at Carino before nodding and shaking his hand. The next week on Clash, Fletcher defends against Tom Lawler with Steve Carino in his corner, coaching him throughout the match with instructions. Fletcher ends the match with a sheer drop brainbuster to retain the title in what has been his best performance since becoming champion. The following week, Steve Carino joins Kyle Fletcher at ringside for Fletcher's title defense against Chavo Guerrero. Fletcher dominates Guerrero under the instruction of Carino, looking leagues above his challenger as he wrestles circles around Chavo. Fletcher finishes the match with a Grimstone to retain his title. Kyle Fletcher continues his promise to be a fighting champion the next week on Clash, as Steve Carino leads them into battle against Petey Williams. The two have a stellar match that finishes with a sheer drop brainbuster from Fletcher to complete his fifth title defense. The following week sees Fletcher and Carino continue their dominance over the international heavyweight division. Fletcher goes one-on-one with Dragon Lee. Fletcher retains this title by dodging Dragon Lee's bicycle knee and countering with the Grimstone. Fletcher is celebrating in the ring as Carino brings him his belt. Carino raises Fletcher's hand and the two men bask in the glory. Fletcher gets on the turnbuckle and poses with the title to the delight of the crowd as Carino stands back clapping for his student. After Fletcher drops to the turnbuckle, he once again raises the title above his head and presents it to the crowd. Fletcher turns to face the opposite side of the crowd and eats a stiff super kick from Steve Carino. Carino drops to a knee and bashes Fletcher with a flurry of stiff right hands. Carino shouts at Fletcher over and over, "I told you! I warned you this would happen!" as he continues his assault. The segment ends with Steve Carino standing over a broken and bloodied Kyle Fletcher with the International Heavyweight Championship held high over his head. The next week on Clash, a somber Steve Carino is in the ring to explain his actions from the previous week. "Why are you all so shocked? All I've heard for the last 7 days is, why did you do it, Steve? Why did you attack that kid last week? I thought you saw a bright future. I did. I still do. So let's all sit down for a story time with Uncle Stevie. I never thought I would have a second chance at this. I never thought I could right my wrongs. Never thought I would get another shot at glory. See, my future was pitch black. My spine too mangled to ever get in the ring again. I see a lot of young Steve Carino in the Protostar. I tried to prevent him from making the same mistakes I did. I tried to help him be great. I saw a future brighter than any other on the roster. I told him to keep his head on a swivel because the second his head was turned, somebody in that locker room was going to strike. He just didn't think it'd be me. Hell, neither did I." Carino looks conflicted as he looks at the ground, then shakes his head and continues his speech. "Last week, I went to the doctor, a routine checkup, just to make sure my spinal cord injury hasn't worsened. Well, I got good news that day. I was told not only has my injury not worsened, it's improved. It's improved that for the first time in years, I was being cleared to return to the thing I love most, to the thing that I thought was gone forever." Carino pauses again as tears well up in his eyes. "If there's one thing I have learned since breaking my back 5 years ago, tomorrow isn't promised, so seize every opportunity today. I saw the embers of my future trying to reignite, trying to catch a spark, just a glimpse of hope. So I took matters into my own hands and I stole that bright future away from the Protostar. What was once a promising young career is now a stepping stone on my path back to where I belong, on top of this industry as the best damn wrestler on the planet. Kyle Fletcher, I didn't want it to be you, but now that I have reclaimed my dream, I will stop at nothing to keep hold of it." As Carino says this, Fletcher hits... Oh, hold on. I scrolled all the way to the top. Carino pauses as... Hold on, I read. Oh, sorry. As Carino says this, Fletcher hits the ring from out of nowhere and brawls with Carino. The two men brawl all over the ringside area until security and staff pull them apart. The next week on Clash, Fletcher is in the ring at the start of the show in his gear and ready for a fight. "Carino, get your ass out here. I didn't come here to talk. I didn't come here to negotiate. I came here to beat your ass from pillar to post. You want to snuff out my future and take it for yourself? I'm not hard to find. Bring your ass out to the ring and take my future from me right now." Fletcher tosses the microphone and gets ready for a fight. "Fletch, kid, listen." Steve Carino's voice comes over the PA speakers and Kyle looks around for him. "Oh, up here, pal." The camera cuts to Steve Carino and standing in the crowd, surrounded by security. "I have no intention of walking down to that ring and fighting you. I have too much to lose, Kyle. I'm not here to fight you for free. In fact, I have no interest in fighting you at all." The crowd boos vociferously at this revelation from Carino. "I'm sorry, but I already wasted 5 years sitting on the shelf for me to get in fights these days. It has to make sense. I have to be fiscally responsible. Fighting Kyle Fletcher here in Sacramento risks injury, and worse, comes with no payday. Now, if you're looking for a fight, Fletch, you're just going to have to make it worth my while, because the king of old school doesn't fight for free." "How convenient. When I'm ready to fight now, you don't fight for free. I don't remember anybody cutting you a check to kick my teeth down my throat a few weeks ago." "You're right, Fletch. I did all that on my own accord. But I didn't do it for free. I did it to get one step closer to that international heavyweight championship. So this is what you want. Fine. Come take it. Let's get a referee out here right now so I can end this. You kids are always in such a rush. I'm not fighting you tonight, Fletch. You're so adamant on getting your hands on me, so adamant that you really want this fight, you'll do it on my terms. Put the IHC on the line against me at No Remorse. Repay the gift I gave you for weeks by being in your corner. Repay me by giving me one chance at beating you. You're a coward, Carino. You hide in the crowd, hide behind these people and your security up there. I don't care when or where we fight. I don't care if we let that bell ring or we just beat each other till one of us can't stand. I don't care if the title's on the line or not. I just care about getting my hands on you. So you want this on the line? You wanted it No Remorse? Fine. I'll see you there. On the go-home show, Fletcher and Carino are in the ring for a contract signing. The two men are separated by security at the request of Steve Carino. Fletch, I hope you don't mind, but due to the volatility of your emotional state these last few weeks, I've asked the security to remain between us as we sign this contract tonight. I don't want childish impulse to cost me the opportunity at that belt. In all honesty, I'm not fully sure I understand your anger. See, I told you that you needed to watch your back. I told you that every man in that locker room was looking to take your spot the second they caught you slipping. I warned you of every possible scenario. It's your own fault you didn't listen. It's your fault that you trusted me. It's your fault that I had to do what I did a few weeks ago. I'm sorry that you didn't listen to me, and I'm sorry the lesson you had to learn. Sorry for the lesson you had to learn the hard way. But don't worry, kid. It's almost over. Next week, Steve Carino, the king of old school, coming off his first professional wrestling match, will be the international heavyweight champion. And Kyle Fletcher will no longer be the protostar, but rather a what could have been. Carino signs the contract as Fletcher laughs in disgust before replying. Carino, you're denser than I thought. I'm not worried about a title. I'm more worried about a betrayal. I thought we were friends, mate. I thought you had my back. If you wanted a shot at my belt, all you had to do was ask. Nobody in the back would have been happier to hear you were cleared than me. Damn it, I trusted you! You were right about one thing. This is a lesson I had to learn the hard way. Because no matter how many times you repeated it, I never heard the message louder or clearer than I did that night when you beat them into my skull. So at No Remorse, I'm going to teach you a lesson. That you can't beat time, and you damn sure can't beat me. Kyle Fletcher signs the contract in the second he closes the folder. Carino bursts through the security with a super kick. Carino assaults Fletcher before tossing the champion on the table. Carino climbs up after him and nails Fletcher with an old school expulsion neckbreaker slam. And the segment ends with Carino standing tall with the IHC high in the air. So he put him through the table. I didn't specify that, but that's what happened. All right, so time for the match. The bell rings and Steve Carino immediately walks to the center and extends his hand for a handshake. Fletcher looks at him with disdain. You think I'm stupid? Fletcher asks. Fletcher shakes his head and begins to circle the ring. Carino puts his hands down and stands in the center of the ring with his hands on his hips, shaking his head in disappointment. Carino begins to circle the ring opposite Fletcher, and the two step to the center for a collar and elbow tie-up. Carino quickly lays in a deep, stiff knee to the ribs of Fletcher, causing the champ to double over. Carino capitalizes with a single-arm DDT. Carino scrambles over Fletcher's body, mounting him and cradling his head in his left hand as he drops rapid right hands to the skull of Fletcher. As Fletcher tries to cover his skull, the veteran Carino pivots his assault, grabbing hold of Fletcher's arm and locking in a scissored armbar. Fletcher flails on the mat as Carino cinches the hold in deeper and deeper. Fletcher is finally able to flip his body weight and get close enough to grasp the bottom rope for a rope break. Carino holds the armbar until just before the referee counts to 5. Carino doesn't give Fletcher a chance to recover, however, delivering a thundering stomp to the shoulder of Kyle Fletcher, followed by repeated stomps to the arm and shoulder of the champion. Carino then pulls Fletcher to his feet and blasts him with a Ferris wheel exploder suplex, planting the champion on the compromised shoulder. Carino, arrogant as ever, saunters across the ring and goes for the cover, but Fletcher kicks out after a 2 count. Carino is incensed and cannot believe it. Carino pulls Fletcher to his feet while he talks trash to the champion. Carino Irish whips Fletcher, but Fletcher answers with a big boot on the way back to the center before collapsing beside Carino. Both men are down on the canvas and trying to make their way to their feet. Fletcher reaches the ropes and pulls himself up. He turns and sees Carino seated on the canvas with his back to Fletcher. Fletcher sprints, screaming like a demon, and blasts Carino in the back of the skull with the hidden blade. Fletcher scrambles for the corner, but just before the 3, Carino gets his foot on the bottom rope. Kyle Fletcher cannot believe it. Fletcher pulls Carino to his feet, but Carino answers with a left-handed knockout punch, sending Fletcher reeling, collapsing in the corner. Carino stumbles over to the corner and lifts Fletcher to a seated position on the top rope. Carino climbs up to the second rope and blasts Fletcher with a couple of stiff right hands before lifting each other into the air for a stalling vertical suplex, holding Fletcher while standing on the second rope for a staggering 30 seconds before delivering the superplex. Carino scrambles for a cover, but the champion has a little left in him as Fletcher kicks out just before 3, devastating the challenger in the process. Carino holds his head in his hands as he sits on the canvas before punching the mat in frustration. Carino pulls Fletcher to his feet and Irish whips the champion. Fletcher was ready, leaping to the middle rope and nailing Carino with a springboard cutter out of nowhere as the crowd goes bananas. Fletcher wastes no time pulling Carino back to his feet and spiking him with a Grimstone. Fletcher's signature arm trap. Fletcher wastes no time pulling Carino back to his feet and spiking him with a Grimstone, Fletcher's signature arm trap 360 pile driver. Carino's skull and spine bounce off the canvas and he lands lifeless in the center of the ring. It's all over. Fletcher hooks the leg. 1, 2, no! Carino gets the shoulder up just before the 3. Carino and Fletcher stumble to their feet and stare at each other in the center of the ring. Both men nod and begin to trade blows back and forth, neither man backing down. Just right hand after right hand. Carino catches Fletcher in the jaw with a stiff elbow that sends Fletcher stumbling backwards and into the ropes. Fletcher recoils back to center and eats a stiff super kick from Carino. Carino falls on top of the champion. The referee goes to count to 3, but realizes Carino's shoulders are also on the mat, stopping the count. Fletcher uses the distraction to roll out from under Carino. Fletcher is pulling himself up with assistance from the ropes. Fletcher extends his arm to the top rope, but out of nowhere, Carino delivers a double axe handle to the same shoulder that became compromised earlier in the match. Carino stomps the injured shoulder with hellacious intent before pulling Fletcher to his feet and delivering a thundering Northern Lights bomb on the injured shoulder. Carino hooks the leg, stares into the camera with vitriol and aggression as the referee counts the pin. 1, 2, no! Carino's face melts as Fletcher gets his shoulder up right at the last second. Carino breaks into a fit of rage, unloading several rapid-fire stiff rights and lefts to the skull of Fletcher, to the point that the referee pulls him off and gives him a warning that he will disqualify him. Carino is incensed as he drags the champion's body over to the corner and once again hoists Fletcher to a seated position on the top rope. Carino climbs up after him, blasting the champion in the face with a few stiff elbows. Carino climbs to the top rope and goes for a superplex, but Fletcher flails his legs and blocks it. Carino tries again, but Fletcher hooks Carino's knee pad to keep himself down. Fletcher then, in a dump of adrenaline, lifts Carino up in the air and nails him with a brainbuster onto the top turnbuckle. Fletcher covers Carino. 1, 2, 3. Kyle Fletcher retains the International Heavyweight Championship. Finito.
I can go first. So the wrong man won. I think that Steve should have won this match because I feel like you could do, like, eventually you could have had Fletcher win in the future. Like, this could be your, like, a long running feud. And Carino wins now. He could even cheat to win. Like, he uses the fact that he has experience to cheat to win, wins the title. Fletcher is okay. He's a babyface. He's young. He eventually wins the title back down the road. Down the road. Now Carino, with the way you did it, Carino has no reason. There's no reason to have another match. So, and for the story or for the promos and stuff were mostly, or the promos I really liked the most were Steve's. And I will say, when you were doing like your match, you did a very good job at like expressing their like facial expressions, like when you said like his face melted and stuff like that. You did a really good job with that. I'm gonna give you a 3.85.
All right, I'll take that.
It would have been higher if Steve won, though.
That's fair.
I'm going to follow up and disagree with Damone on a lot here. I like that Kyle won because not every feud needs to be extended, and I don't think his feud with Steve Carino is the one to be extended. I think Steve Carino is a stepping stone for Kyle to go on to better things and to establish him as a star. Steve was just the, wily veteran that was seemingly trying to help him, but was actually trying to, get back into relevance. And Kyle put a stop to that and wasn't going to let, the old head get one on his expense. So I like that story. And I think that the right person won because Kyle can now go into some real ball with somebody who's ready to be at his level. I do agree with Damone on the match. Like, your writing about the emotional side and the facial expressions was good. I thought the promos was very hit and miss. Steve's being the better ones. I do agree with Damone on that. It was a little bit Hallmark movie at times. Like, you were my friend, I trusted you. But for the most part, I liked this. And I think I liked it more than Damone, so I got to top his score by at least a little bit. I'm going to give this a 3.95.
I'll take it.
All right, I'll go next. I'm gonna be a little bit of a hater here. All right, so with this, I agree with pretty much what Damone said. I think everything he said was spot on. But I thought some of the I wasn't really a fan of some of the promos. So I agree with John on that. I will say Steve had better promos. I think there was one you said, what was it? There was one that stuck out to me. I did like that one. I forget what it said. I'm trying to remember what it was now. I can't remember now. But I liked that one. But the rest of them was kind of like, eh. But the match, I will say the match is what saved it to me. So I am at a straight 3. I think
I'll
that's
take
the
it.
most fair I can do.
Miguel, Jose, who wants to go first?
I liked it. I thought the promo work was good. Match was good. I do think the wrong person won. I'm giving you a 4.
I'll take it.
Can you hear me just to make sure?
I can, yes.
Okay. I'm like in the middle of John and Damone, to be honest.
He's gonna give you a 3.9.
No.
He's in between a 1 and a 5.
So I'm not between their score, but I'm like between what they're saying, and
Okay.
I like the Fletcher one. I'm gonna go with a 3.5 on it, but
I'll take it.
I also agree that I really appreciate you putting like the facial expressions into the match because that like kind of gave it some life for me.
I've never gotten this much praise on putting these type of details into my matches, so glad y'all are coming around.
It only took 150 hours.
All right,
Hey,
next match.
don't listen to him. Fuck
But
him.
I'm consistently inconsistent, so that doesn't mean it's going to be the same next time.
That I like that. Consistently inconsistent. That's a shirt. Make you a shirt. All right, so next match. The Briscoes are the reigning tag team champions, currently on a historic run with the titles lasting a whopping 9 months behind only the King of Combat himself, Hiroshi Tanahashi, for the longest title reigns in KOC history. The Briscoes have defended their titles against all comers and have earned the title of the best tag team on the planet by fans and publications across the world. Excuse me. Kingdom Come, the arrival of the Dudley Boyz to KOC was announced. The Dudleys made it clear they were here to do what they've done everywhere else they've been. Dominate. I thought there was more to that sentence. The most decorated tag team of the modern era.
We came to dominate and, dominate.
Tag team of the modern era has backed up those claims in recent weeks, with wins over teams such as La Resistance, ABC, the Usos, Ryback, and Top 5 Tyson Tomko, and Bishamon. After taking out Bishamon, KOC.com reporters caught up with the Dudleys, and they had this to say. Line them up, Bubba says, and we knock them down. Devon finishes. Bubba begins speaking again. It doesn't matter what you nerds behind your keyboard say. When you're the best tag team on God's green earth, they don't call you the best. They don't even call you champion. And they sure as hell don't call you Briscoe. See, in this industry, there's only two characters that are necessary to describe the best tag team in the world. 3D. Oh, my brother, testify! If you want to test yourself against the best tag team on the planet, just ask for a match with the Dudley Boyz. The next week, World Tag Team Champions, the Briscoes, are approached backstage by the Dudleys. Bubba introduced themselves. Gentlemen, I think it's high time we made your acquaintance. We are the most decorated tag team of the modern era. We are the tag team that's faced and beaten every tag team that's worth their salt, and we are the best tag team on the planet. We're the Dudley Boyz. Nice to meet you. Bubba has a smug look on his face as the Briscoes look at him puzzled. You know, I thought I heard you say something last week, and I said, nah, that can't be right. I got to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I think you just said it again. You're saying you're the best in the world, but the way I see it. Jay Briscoe pauses and takes the World Tag title off his shoulder and holds it between his and Bubba's face. These titles say otherwise. Mark steps up. Now, if you gentlemen ever want to test your mettle, them boys ain't hard to find. The Briscoes and the Dudleys have an intense stare down in the segment. The next week on Clash, we see the Dudleys cut a promo backstage. It's time for the Dudley Boyz to testify. Bubba Ray Dudley is pacing behind his brother before turning to the camera and taking center stage. For over 2 decades, we've spent our careers on the mountaintop. Let me take you down memory lane. Devon cuts in. That means you inbred idiots need to sit your asses down and shut your mouths while the goats talk. Bubba continues his story. The Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, the Gangsters, Public Enemy, Harlem Heat, Motor City Machine Guns, the Road Warriors, Demolition, yada, yada, yada. Now you might think, Bubba, that's a who's list of tag teams. That's the best that's ever done it. No, that's a list of the victims perpetrated by the Dudley Boyz. Devon steps up. Briscoes, count your days because we're just itching to add your names to the list. Bubba finishes the speech. Y'all thought you were the best, but the best just pulled your card. You're gonna learn one way or another there's levels to this shit. You just ain't on ours. Later in the night, the Briscoes have a non-title match against the Usos. Midway through the match, the Dudleys hit the ring and attack the Briscoes. The two teams brawl, but the sneak attack was too much of an advantage for the Briscoes to overcome. The segment ends with the Dudleys putting both Briscoe brothers through tables with 3Ds. The next week, we get a Briscoe promo cut backstage. Jay is incensed as he paces the halls. Mark begins the promo. Dudleys, y'all done messed up now. Got me madder than a hornet with no honey. I'm fixing to mess y'all boys up. Jay walks to the front and faces the camera. Y'all want to get involved in our match? Want to attack us when our backs are turned? Fighting 2 other men like they had the balls to punch us in the face instead of the back of the head. You want to then put us through some tables? Let me tell y'all boys something. If you ever want to fight, I ain't never said no. Mark takes over. See, we spent our whole lives fighting. Fighting ain't nothing new to a couple of country boys like us. Jay pops in. What's new to us is having a couple of cowards attack us from behind. So like I said, Bubba Ray, Devon, if y'all boys is looking for a fight, we're your huckleberries. Mark speaks up again. And since y'all want to tout y'all past accomplishments so feverishly, we figured we would make you feel right at home. Jay takes over.
If it's one thing Travis Show gonna have, it's gonna be a Huckleberry.
Yup. and a hoist.
Hoist.
I didn't realize I used that so many times, so you repeated it every time I said it last week. I said, okay, I can't use that
you
word
do it
anymore.
every show. I always be like hoist in the background.
By the way,
I-
hornets do not produce honey. I had to look it up just to be sure.
They don't. I just let it rock.
And they're a bunch of hillbillies. Who cares? I thought it was a
I
funny
just
line.
wanted to know for myself.
I didn't know if they did or didn't. Neither did Mark Briscoe. All right. Jay takes over. How about y'all boys meet us at No Remorse? We put these belts on the line in the Dudley's favorite match, a tables match. The next week, Jay Briscoe goes one-on-one with Bubba Ray Dudley. The match is inconclusive as it ended in a double DQ after both Devon and Mark Briscoe got involved. The go-home show sees both teams... Fuck, I scrolled too far. Get a chance to make one last speech before they go to war. The Briscoes are up first, with Jay taking the lead. A lot of guys would get on this mic and say, oh, I wish it didn't have to be this way. Oh, why has it got to be like this? Why can't we all get along? But not us. We relish the opportunity to whoop y'all Yankee asses once and for all. Mark starts talking. Them boys about to give you the backwoods backside beat down, and they ain't nothing much you can do about it. Y'all some flum fools for messing with the Briscoes, boy. Jay finishes the promo. You know, it's kind of poetic when you really think about it. Growing up, we wanted to be just like y'all. Two brothers raising hell and kicking ass all over the world. Now I guess that I know what they mean when they say don't meet your idols. Because little Jay would have never believed that the Dudley Boyz were nothing but a couple of yellow bitches. But here we are. See y'all boys in No Remorse. Bubba Ray and Devon are backstage as Bubba begins to talk. When this all started, I thought it was just about who's better. I thought it was just a friendly competition. See, I should have realized you guys were fans. You're like our sons in this industry. I kind of like that, you know. It's kind of cute. But our sons have been misbehaving, and now it's time for us to be dads and take these belts off to teach y'all a lesson. Bubba continues. See, no parent wants to punish their kids. It's just a part of life. And no remorse when we win the match. When we take those titles, when we prove that we are the best damn tag team that's ever graced this sphere floating in space, when we beat you within an inch of your life, just know it hurt us more than it hurts you. We don't want to teach you these lessons the hard way, but at No Remorse, you're going to learn 3 facts of life that somebody should have taught you a long time ago. Devon butts in. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. And most importantly, thou shalt not mess with the Dudley Boyz. Testify! All right. Time for the match. The bell rings and all 4 men come to the center of the ring face to face. As all 4 are trash talking back and forth, after a moment of back and forth, Bubba Ray Dudley decides he has heard enough. Bubba Ray pie faces Jay Briscoe, shoving him stumbling back a few steps. Jay wastes no time firing back with a big right hand. Devon and Mark start trading shots as well. Now all 4 men are in the center of the ring with single collar ties, throwing right-handed bombs at one another. Mark pushes Devon back as he machine guns big right hands to the face of Devon Dudley. Devon backs into the ropes, and both men fall through the ropes and out onto the floor. Back in the ring, Bubba Ray Dudley has gotten the upper hand. Bubba Ray hits a few quick jabs before rolling his fists over one another and cracking Jay Briscoe with a bionic elbow, putting Jay Briscoe down on the canvas. On the outside, Mark Briscoe has the upper hand. Briscoe hits Devon with a super kick, sending him crashing to the floor. Briscoe then leaps onto the ring apron and then to the second rope before leaping off and hitting Dudley with a springboard shooting star press to the floor. Back in the ring, Bubba Ray Dudley has Jay Briscoe on the canvas, and Bubba climbs to the top rope. Bubba Ray then leaps down onto a prone Briscoe, nailing him with a diving seated senton. On the outside, Briscoe is pulling Devon Dudley to his feet, but Devon fights back with a couple of stiff hooks to the ribs of Mark Briscoe, making the tag team champion double over. Devon rises to his feet and lays in a couple of big right hands to the skull of Mark Briscoe. Devon follows up with a stun gun, bouncing Briscoe's face off the ring apron. Devon Dudley then pulls Briscoe back to his feet and hits him with a saving grace, lifting falling inverted DDT, directly on the floor. Back in the ring, Bubba Ray Dudley has mounted Jay Briscoe and is laying into him with big right hands. Devon Dudley rolls into the ring to join his brother. The two hit overhead double high fives, and then Bubba looks at Devon wildly before looking out to the crowd. Bubba Ray Dudley puts his index and finger and points in the air as he circles the ring and faces the crowd. Bubba Ray Dudley then stops in front of Devon Dudley, points his finger straight in the air, and I don't know why I've said that twice. Devon nods and climbs to the top rope as Bubba Ray sets Jay Briscoe up. Dudley boys look at each other and hit a "What's up?" Devon leaps down and hits a diving headbutt to the groin of Jay Briscoe. Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley celebrate and parade around the ring. When the two meet in the center of the ring, Bubba Ray Dudley slaps the chest of Devon and shouts, "Devon, get the tables!" Devon goes and gets the table and sets it up in the center of the ring. Bubba and Devon set Jay up for a 3D, but before they can execute the move, out of nowhere, Mark Briscoe nails Devon Dudley with a springboard cutter. Jay starts fighting back against Bubba Ray Dudley. As Jay gains the upper hand, he hits Bubba with a stiff forearm, sending Bubba Ray stumbling backwards. Mark comes to the aid of his brother, and they lay Bubba out with a Briscoe bottom, which is a double sit-out side slam. The Briscoes get to their feet, and they are fired up when they reveal, as they revel in the cheers of the crowd. The celebration is cut short when Devon nails Jay with a corkscrew back elbow coming from off the screen. Jay is knocked out of the ring and into the floor. Mark immediately goes on the offensive, but Bubba Ray rises to help his brother, and the Dudley boys beat Mark Briscoe down. Bubba Ray tells Devon to forget the 3D. We're going to super bomb this inbred hillbilly. Bubba Ray sits on the top turnbuckle as Devon hoists, there you go, Kenny, Mark on his shoulders, then scrambles over and puts the table into position. Bubba Ray Dudley then leaps down with a super bomb through the table, eliminating Mark Briscoe from the match. The Dudleys waste no time continuing their assault, shifting their focus to Jay Briscoe. The Dudley boys hit ringside and start laying into Briscoe with stomps, kicks, and punches. Then Devon pulls Jay to his feet, ripcords him in, and the Dudleys nail Briscoe with a 3D on the floor. The Dudleys toss Briscoe back in the ring and go to grab another table from under the ring. On the other side of the ring, Mark Briscoe is being helped out by medical staff, but Mark catches a glimpse of what's happening and springs into action. Mark runs towards the Dudleys, steps onto the steel ramps, and jumps at the Dudleys, throwing his entire body at them. Briscoe brawls with both Dudleys as referee, medical personnel, and security try to pry them apart. After several moments of chaos, some amount of separation is achieved, and Mark Briscoe is being dragged to the back by staff members. Then, out of nowhere, Jay Briscoe leaps through the ropes and nails both Dudleys with a suicide dive. Briscoe immediately pulls Bubba Ray to his feet and spikes him with a Jay Driller double underhook pile driver on the floor. Jay follows up by immediately laying into Devon Dudley with big stiff forearms, sending Devon stumbling back into the timekeeper's area. Jay Briscoe sets up the table that the Dudleys pulled out earlier on the outside. Jay goes to grab Bubba Ray, but Bubba nails him with a stiff hook to the ribs, and Bubba Ray spikes Jay on the floor with a pile driver. Bubba Ray grabs hold of Jay Briscoe and bashes his skull off the top of the barricade repeatedly, busting Briscoe open. And the tag champion is bleeding buckets. Bubba grabs another table from under the ring and slides it inside. Then Bubba goes down and checks on Devon, who stumbles out of the timekeeper's area. Bubba tells Devon to grab Briscoe and get him in the ring, while Bubba sets the table up. As Bubba hits the ring, he starts setting up the table in the center of the ring. Devon drags Briscoe up onto the apron. Before Devon can get Briscoe from the ring apron and into the ring, Briscoe starts fighting back with big right hands. Briscoe delivers a stiff boot to the gut of Dudley before hooking him in a suplex setup. Jay Briscoe then hits a crucible, which is a suplex sit-out slam, off the apron and through the table on the outside, eliminating Devon from the match. Back in the ring, Bubba Ray hears that Devon was eliminated while his back was turned and his eyes widen as he slowly turns around and looks at a battered and bloody Briscoe laying in the carnage of broken wood and blood, draped across Bubba Ray's unconscious brother Devon. As Bubba Ray and Jay Briscoe lock eyes, and a clearly exhausted and war-torn Jay Briscoe lifts both middle fingers to Bubba Ray Dudley. This incenses Dudley, and Bubba hits the ringside, dragging Briscoe to his feet, and both men start trading right hands. Finally, a big right hand from Dudley spins Briscoe around, and Bubba Ray capitalizes with a Bubba Bomb, which is his full Nelson bomb he does. Bubba Ray immediately pulls a barely conscious Briscoe to his feet before flattening him yet again with a Bubba Cutter. Bubba Ray wipes his hands, signifying that to the audience that his work is done. Bubba tosses a lifeless Briscoe into the ring, and Bubba Ray pulls the table in position and then drags Briscoe over to the corner. Bubba climbs up and sits on the top of the top turnbuckle and then pulls Briscoe up onto his shoulders in a powerbomb position. But before he can execute the super bomb, Briscoe, in a last-ditch effort, starts laying in with a flurry of punches to the skull of Dudley. Briscoe is able to stun Dudley enough to break free. Briscoe is posted on the second rope, blasting Bubba Ray Dudley with big right hands. Then Briscoe lifts Bubba Ray onto his shoulders and leaps off the rope, crashing through the table with an avalanche Death Valley driver to win the match and retain the tag team championships. And that's all. Y'all can grade me now.
Okay, I'll start on this one. For this one, to me, I think this was all match. For this one, I think the story, in my opinion, was kind of lacking. It was just kind of just like, well, we're here now. That's what it felt like. So the best I can do for that is a 2.75 for that, because I felt like the match was great, but it was just the story. Like I said, the story was just like, whoop.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Kenny. The match was definitely great, but the story was it was just a dream match, which is fine. It's okay. The promos themselves were okay. Like, they fit the characters, but like there was no there's really no juice to this match besides it being a dream match. Like,
Juice.
I know you wanted it to feel like a really big intense feud, but it really didn't. I'm gonna give you a 3.
I agree with them. However, here's the thing. I value matches over stories a lot more than them. So it's going to be higher for me because a match can carry me through for the most part. Well, I mean, I watch AEW for fuck's sake. So I'm giving this 375.
I'll take it.
I just think the match was awesome. And yeah, the story was lacking, but I don't fucking need it.
John trying to avoid that. He's trying to avenge that 0.
I'm telling you, I like the rest of the show. I just didn't like that.
I'll go
Well,
next.
it wasn't that you didn't like the rest of the show. It's what you said.
Which I have given Travis an apology for.
You
Hey,
should have
he's
doubled
fine.
down.
What else do you want from me?
He gonna make you
wanted you to
apologize
double
rest of the
down.
book of verse.
I wanted you to have a spine.
Wow.
I did. But saying, fuck
My
y'all, the
lord.
zero's still there.
Yeah, now you're being disrespectful.
Good. Yeah, no, this was lack of story, and unlike John, I like more story than match because I feel like we can all write good matches. So I expect the match to be good. So I'm going 3 1/4.
Okay. I have a question before Joe gives me my grades. Is anybody logging? I know Kenny's taking his notes, but is anybody logging it in the Excel like they're supposed to be? Because it doesn't look like it.
I was just about to message that I was forgetting to run the scoreboard.
It's fine. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
I'm back.
I literally asked John, "Hey, John, do you
know.
want me to do
I
it,
know.
or you got
And then
it?"
I looked up after giving my rating, and I was like, damn. I really didn't do that.
That's why it's a good thing I still keep these notes in here.
We love Kenneth. Thank you.
Thank God he
because
has 3
sometimes-
phones.
I wouldn't
sometimes
say
old
I love
fudge brain
Kenny.
don't
We got
work how it's
3
supposed to.
phones.
I got fudge mentia.
One for the plug and one for the skulls.
Hey, give him a 0 for me. he,
What do you
ain't, he
say?
ain't presenting, but that made me mad. He said
What'd
he
you
had
say?
fudge mentia.
Ugh.
Yeah,
All right, Joe. What are you giving me?
I'm gonna go with the 325. I don't know. I didn't think the story was that bad. I thought the promos were decent.
I like that with Joe. Like a 3 1/4 is like a really good score to him. Like I love it, Joe. I'm not. I just your explanations just don't match your numbers when you say it. It's always shocking.
Well, I don't know. Like I feel I'm not trying to like blow my load on stuff like that though. You know what I mean? Like it was a mid card match and it was a mid match.
Joe got $100. Once that $100 is gone,
He's gonna give you so much.
once that money is gone,
Hey, Joe treats BookIt versus matches like we treat strippers. $3. That's all you get.
It's like those memes. Like, okay, you got $50 you can spend on these people. What you doing?
Right. Like he's out will blow my load. You have unlimited money.
I get that.
That's hilarious. I love it. Keep doing it, Joe.
No, it is funny because he'll be like, I thought that was amazing. I really fucking love that. That's probably one of the best matches I've seen. 3.25. I'm just making something up right now, Joe. I'm not saying this fucking match. He'll be like 3.1. Best match I've ever seen. And it's like, okay.
Hey, you got my 5.5 out of me.
I'll take it too.
You know what makes me pop?
What?
Everything you did.
Oh, I know what will make you pop. I thought you were asking, like you're about to tell me what was going to make you pop.
Every match.
I can't.
Also, fuck John for having to put in that he watches AEW in this.
Well,
What?
I was saying that like I'm an AEW fan, so all match no story is fine by me is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I was actually making fun
Yeah,
of
my
AEW.
style of booking is John's favorite. He loves this long drawn out shit that
That's what
is
I
all
like.
match.
Yeah.
All right, next match.
It's
Tony
just Mike.
Khan Jr.
Oh,
Mike.
Mike already gave me a score.
What did he say?
3.25.
3-2. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I do.
I don't remember, but I remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I remember
didn't
telling
remember
me a score. All right, so the KOC #1 contenders tournament has shaken up the wrestling world and set many new paths in motion. Every match ends with a special uniqueness. Some guys narrowly escape defeat, while others get dominant victories, and some see their opportunity slip through their fingers due to no fault of their own.
Sorry, I was trying to
Travis, change the picture.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you to change the picture.
Oh. My bad. I only have 2 screens, and one of them's got to be the pictures, so I can't see y'all.
I was like, we still got the Dudleys on my screen.
Hey,
All
hold
right.
up. I gotta ask a silly question quick. Who's the man on the left?
Jay White.
Jay White.
Okay, please continue.
All right, so Jay White put on an instant classic against Nick Aldis in round 1, but after hitting Aldis with a Blade Runner, Jay dislocated his shoulder and was unable to continue the match, meaning Aldis won the match due to doctor stoppage. Excuse me. Later in the tournament, Alex Shelley and John Cena went head-to-head. Despite just Shelley putting in his best efforts, Cena got an emphatic victory over one half of the Motor City Machine Guns. Over the next few weeks, Alex Shelley enters a bit of a slump, taking back-to-back losses against Carmelo Hayes and Timothy Thatcher 2 weeks in a row. Later in the night, after losing his match to Timothy Thatcher, Alex Shelley is found laid out backstage. Multiple staff members and medical staff check on Shelley as the camera pans out. Astute viewers can see a switchblade lying open on a cargo box near Shelley's body. The next week on Clash, we see a vignette shot from a dark and shadowy cemetery. The camera pans up the side of a gravestone, revealing a man's leg and boot with black boots and pants dangling from the top of the gravestone. The camera slides up the leg to reveal a pair of black glove-covered hands, flipping open and close the switchblade. Once the switchblade swings shut one last time, the camera pans up to reveal Jay White sitting on top of the gravestone. I'm not in the mystery business. No need to call in a detective. I took you out last week, Alex. I put you out of your misery, and you should be thanking me. I just couldn't stand to see how far you've fallen. Back in 2003, I saw a young kid show up in Ring of Honor and tell the world he's the best that company had to offer. I saw a young killer surround himself with fellow assassins like Austin Aries, Jack Evans, and Roderick Strong. You called yourselves Generation Next. But now that generation has come and it's gone. Now, I remember this guy in 2007 that, alongside Chris Sabin, changed the meaning of total nonstop action forever. You weren't asking for a spot. You carved one out for yourself, but that spot no longer fits you, does it, Alex? I've watched you from afar for over 2 decades. From every high school gym to every arena, from every rinky-dink bar show to headlining at sumo halls, from stadiums to domes, I watched you change this industry. I watched as you became one of the greatest of all time. In 2013, when I broke into the business, all I wanted was a fraction of your talent and success. I thought that even being mentioned as reminiscent of the great Alex Shelley was enough to cement me as a legend in my own mind. Many years have passed. My perspective has changed. And so have you. The prodigy doesn't really live up to his name these days. The next is beginning to look like the previous. I have sat back and watched a man I loved, my hero, lose over and over and over again. It was killing me. I couldn't sit week after week and see my hero get beaten down. I couldn't see you continue to embarrass yourself. You've made me ashamed to be a fan of yours. I started to wonder how I could ever have wanted to emulate you. So rather than let you continue to tarnish your legacy, I took matters into my own hands. Last week, I did what I had to do. My hands were tied. You left me with no options, Alex. I took you out, but I took it easy on you. I wanted to teach you a lesson. I just want you to retire once and for all. I could have taken your career by force. I could have made sure you never walk again. Instead, I left you whole. Take my kindness as a warning and take it as the final one. Take my advice and stay gone. Don't make me hurt you. After saying this, Jay White hops off the gravestone and walks out of frame. The camera focuses on the gravestone, making the engraved words legible for the first time. The gravestone reads, Alex Shelley, 2002 to 2025. Fuck. 1 second.
That's a lot to write on the gravestone. Oh, fuck. Give me 1 second.
Not loving father or oh fuck. Give me 1 second.
The engraver made a mistake.
He was
being dictated. He was being dictated to, and he thought that's what the
That's what they wanted. It was a weird request, but
who's he to argue? The next week on Clash, Alex Shelley makes his return and answers Jay White. Jay White, thanks for the kind words last week, and thanks for being a fan. Most importantly, thank you for the restraint you showed a couple of weeks ago. My wife and children, sincerely, thank you for allowing me to continue walking. I don't say that with any sarcasm. As much as I have in my body, there was nothing I would have been able to do to stop you 2 weeks ago. That's because you attacked me from behind like a coward. A steel chair to the back of the skull put me out before I even knew what hit me. You had the opportunity to take me out forever, and you chose not to, so I thank you for that. I also thank you for allowing me to walk away from that situation, because that also allowed me to walk down this aisle, walk to this ring, pick up this microphone, and tell you exactly what you want to hear. Cameraman, get up close and personal. Shelley gets inches from the camera lens that looking directly at the viewers. I ain't fucking leaving! The crowd erupts as Shelley refuses to bow down to Jay White's demands. Jay, you can hit me as hard as you want, but this old dog still bites back, and I damn sure don't back down. If you want to see how you measure up to Alex Shelley, be my guest. I have never ran from a fight in 23 years, and I'll be damned if I start with some knockoff greaser that wants to cosplay as Alex Shelley. So how about this? Since neither of us got dance partners at No Remorse, how about we see who the better man really is? No Remorse. Jay White versus Alex Shelley, 1-on-1. The crowd goes ballistic as their hero smirks in the ring, but then we hear Jay White's voice fills the arena. You fool. A spotlight is shown in the rafters, revealing Jay White perched high above the ring. I gave you every opportunity to bow out gracefully. I gave you every chance to leave with your head high. I gave you an excuse, an out. Say I injured you beyond repair a couple of weeks ago. Leave while you still have your dignity. No. You're too old to realize you don't have the answers anymore. You don't understand you're in the Switchblade's world now. The days of Alex Shelley being a top guy are long gone. You don't call the shots, Alex. I do. No matter how hard these idiots cheer you, no matter how confident you may feel, at No Remorse, I am going to rip you limb from limb because you're not on my level anymore. You made me do this. Jay White turns and disappears into the shadows of the rafters as Shelley stares up at him in the ring, or from the ring. The next week on Clash, Alex Shelley faces off against Jamie Noble in singles action. Just after Shelley hits Noble with an automatic midnight, Jay White hits the ring with a steel chair in hand. Jay White blasts Alex Shelley in the skull with the chair, forcing the referee to call for the bell. Jay bends the steel chair over Alex Shelley's spine from repeated hard strikes. Finally, Jay White tosses the chair aside and grabs the microphone. Jay White sits cross-legged on the canvas and cradles Shelley in his lap as he looks down and speaks to him. Alex, I want you to go home tonight. I want you to feel every muscle and bone in your body ache. I want every ache to remind you of who I am. I want every time you move, every time you breathe, the haunting image of what I can do to you flashes in your brain. I want you to go home and take your children go home and look your children in their faces. You tell them your pride means more to you than they do. Tell them that beating me means more than being able to pick them up, to play catch with your son, or walk your daughter down the aisle. Look your wife in the eyes and tell her you're throwing your life away to prove a point. Tell her you're throwing your family to the wayside to chase the ghost that abandoned you long ago. I want your heartache. I want your heart to ache like your body will. I want to be an ever-present reminder of who you are today. A failure. A has-been. A loser. I want you to look your family in the eyes and I want you to tell them your pride is more important. I want you to look in the mirror and admit that you're a coward. You're not facing me at No Remorse because you're brave and rallying against the evil Jay White. You're facing me at No Remorse because you're terrified to admit you can't do this anymore. So you cling to the fleeting idea that you're the same man you've always been. At No Remorse, you'll no longer be able to run from the truth. I am going to hit you with a dose of reality that you've been avoiding for far too long. I gave you the chance to walk away. At No Remorse, I'm going to take that choice away. This is your last chance. Don't show up at No Remorse. Or don't expect to go home if you do. All right, time for the match. The bell rings and Jay White instantly rushes in, throwing his jacket into the face of Alex Shelley as White advances. White wails on Shelley with rights and lefts while Shelley is tied up in White's ring jacket. Shelley turns his back to White to try to get some defense against his assault, but Jay White answers immediately with a chop block, cutting the legs of Shelley out from under him. Jay White drops to his knees and starts unloading on Alex Shelley with big right hands. Shelley finally pulls the ring jacket off his head and begins to fight back. Shelley fights back to his feet and nails White with a reverse SCO into the turnbuckles. White pulls himself to his feet in the corner, but Shelley quickly follows up with a double knee backbreaker. White crumbles to the canvas and crawls back to the corner, sitting on the canvas with his back to the turnbuckles. Shelley rushes over and goes for a running knee to White's skull, but White rolls out of the way at the last second, forcing Shelley to land the knee on the turnbuckle, further compromising that leg. White grabs hold of a sleeper on Shelley, but Shelley immediately fights to get out of it. Instead of allowing Shelley to break the hold, White opts to pivot his attack, flipping Shelley over his head and flinging him across the ring with a release sleeper suplex. Jay White wastes little time as he pulls Shelley back to his feet and launches him into the turnbuckle with a half-hatch suplex. White follows up with several stiff stomps to his former hero in the corner. White then takes the injured leg of Shelley and pulls it under the middle rope and then back over the top. White twists the knee of Shelley with a dragon whip while his leg is tied up in the ropes. Shelley clinches his knee and rolls out to the apron. Jay White hits the ropes and blasts Shelley with a baseball slide, sending Shelley to the floor. White follows after Shelley, picking him up off the floor and whipping him spine first into the steel steps. The referee chastises White and tells him to get back in the ring. White ignores everything the referee is shouting at him as he pulls Shelley back to his feet and then blasts him with a gourd buster on the top of the steel steps. The referee threatens to disqualify White if he doesn't get this match back in the ring. Jay White rolls back in the ring and gets in the referee's face arguing. Once White returns his attention to Shelley, he sees Shelley has made his way onto the apron and is pulling himself to his feet with the ropes. White rushes over to the Shelley, going for a lariat, but Shelley ducks under it, pulling the rope down and sending White crashing over to the floor. As White stumbles to his feet, Shelley hits a springboard moonsault to the floor, wiping Jay out. Shelley scrambles to his feet and throws White back in the ring. Shelley rushes to the apron and then scales to the corner, and Shelley leaps off the top rope and flattens White with a diving double foot stomp. Shelley pulls White to his feet and quickly executes Shell Shocked. Shelley's patented swinging reverse STO. Shelley goes for the cover, but just before the 3, White puts his foot on the bottom rope to break the count. Shelley goes to pull White to his feet. White cuts him off with a low blow behind the referee's back. White immediately hits Shelley with a knee jammer to the injured leg of Shelley. White pulls Shelley to his feet and places him in the corner. White hits the ropes and runs at Shelley, but Shelley reverses, using a back body drop to put White over the top rope. But White lands on his feet on the apron. White clips Shelley in the back of the head with a stiff elbow and then drags Shelley through the ropes and onto the apron. White wraps his arms around the skull of Shelley with a second sleeper, but he has no intentions of putting Shelley to sleep. As soon as White locks the sleeper in, he flings Shelley over his head, smacking onto the hardest part of the ring with a sleeper suplex. Shelley flops to the floor, and White has a sadistic smile on his face as he looks down at his former hero's lifeless body lying on the ground. Jay White drops to the floor and stomps repeatedly at the injured leg of Alex Shelley. White grabs the hold of Shelley by the hair and drags his body across the ground to the ramp. White pulls Shelley to his feet, lifts him in the air, and then drops him first onto the ramp, crushing him leg first onto the ramp, crushing the injured knee and shin in the process. The referee's count has reached 7 as White drags his fallen foe to the ring. White tosses Shelley's body into the ring just before the referee counts to 9, and White rolls in after to stop the count entirely. White pulls Shelley to his feet and locks in a sleeper hold, but Shelley is trying to will his way through it, refusing to give up. White kicks at the back of the injured knee whilst maintaining the sleeper hold, and Shelley drops to one knee, but refuses to quit. Jay White leaps on Shelley's back, wrapping his legs around the core of Shelley, attempting to squeeze the air out of his lungs as White continues to strangle Alex Shelley. Shelley pushes up to his feet in a last-ditch effort, hooks the back of Jay White's head, and nails him with a backpack stunner to break the hold. Jay White is knocked loopy, bouncing from the canvas to his feet, stumbling about punch-drunk. Shelley hops on his one good leg before nailing White with a single knee face breaker with Shelley's good knee. White takes a bump and rolls ass over tea kettle and back to his feet, bouncing spine first off the ropes. Shelley hops across the ring on one leg before leaping to the second rope for a one-legged springboard tornado DDT, spiking Jay White's skull first on the canvas. Shelley limps to the corner and climbs to the top. Shelley leaps off with a frog splash to White, but Jay White gets his knees up at the last second, crushing the ribs of Alex Shelley. Jay White immediately begins to attack the injured knee again. White then locks Shelley in an inverted figure 4, just tearing that knee even further. Shelley is screaming out in pain as Jay White wrenches the leg lock. Shelley eventually drags himself and White to the ropes to force White to break the hold. White holds on until the referee pries him off. The referee tells White this is his last warning. He will disqualify him if White continues to disobey the referee's commands. White drags Shelley back to the center of the ring, and he pulls Shelley to his feet and hits him with a Kiwi Crusher fisherman driver while he hooks the leg. White hooks the leg, but Shelley does the impossible, kicking out at the last second. Jay White is incensed as the defiant Shelley refuses to lose. White rips Shelley to his feet and nails him with his own finishing maneuver, Automatic Midnight, which is an over-the-shoulder, back-to-belly pile driver. Jay signals for the end as he goes for the cover, but Alex Shelley again kicks out just before the 3 count. Jay White is seeing red as he throttles the injured knee of Shelley. White goes for the Blade Runner, but Shelley blocks him. And then Shelley scoops White up and hits him with a It Came From Japan, Shelley's signature straight jacket scoop brainbuster. Shelley scrambles to his feet and pulls White up as well. Shelley puts Jay White on his shoulder and hits him with automatic midnight. And it's all over as Shelley hooks the leg in the center of the ring. 1, 2, no! Jay White is kicked out. Shelley can't believe it. What more can he do to put the Kiwi away? Shelley drags White to the corner and then pulls himself and his opponent to the top rope. It looks like Shelley is willing to pull out all the stops. Just before Shelley looks to execute this maneuver, Jay White grabs hold of Shelley and leaps off the top rope, planting Shelley in the canvas with a twisting avalanche Uranagi. Both men bounce off the canvas and lay in heaps. The referee begins to count for a double knockout, but Jay White makes his way to his feet just as the ref's count hits 8. White pulls Shelley to his feet, sets him up for the Blade Runner, kisses Shelley on the head, and then blasts his hero with his finisher. Jay White hooks the leg and gets the pin before collapsing on the canvas from exhaustion after a hellacious match. The end.
I can go first. So I really like the story. I really like the promos, especially Jay White's promos. The right person won. The match was fire. I'm gonna give you a 5. I don't have
Let's
any
go.
complaints.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I really
can go
liked
next.
it as well. I thought at points it was corny, and there was no New England accent to differentiate, or New Zealand accent to differentiate.
Jay White.
Yeah,
from,
Jay
Alex
White.
Jay White doing a New England accent would be wild.
That would even be even wilder. But other than that, I'm not going to take off for you. I'm also giving you a 5.
Okay. Joe, did you want to go?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I like the working of the knee in there as
3.25.
well. The promos are great. Going 3. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think this is definitely the best one of the night so far. So I'm gonna go with 4.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm not mad.
Yeah, this was pretty fire. This is like ideal, like indie darling wrestling. This was very much booked to like my recent tastes. I couldn't come up with something to complain about, honestly. So even if I didn't want to give it a 5, I feel like I have to. You get a 5.
Thank you.
Getting John did not complain. That sounds like 5.5 to me.
I thought he was about to give me his 5.5. I was like, let's go.
I was gonna say, how is that not the
and a
5.5?
5.5?
How is that not the 5.5, John?
So
if you found
it's a
literally
5-star match, but it didn't like pop me out of my chair type thing.
We have a whole
It's got to
year
pop
and a half
somebody
left
to
to
get
book
the
it first.
550. Like how y'all reacted to the fucking chugga last week needs to happen to me to get 550.
That's fair.
Maybe I should have had him last
Like
week,
something
then.
so good that Joe hates the rest of the show. That's what the type of love I need.
Yeah, that's
Mike will
wild.
do it.
That's still wild. They'd be like, I don't like nothing else. I like that so much.
Hey, I'm just saying,
That's wild.
you can't get me out of my seat like that and then just give me that after.
You gave him dessert early.
I know how he is with cake. I should have kept the cake aside.
This should have been the main event.
All right. Yeah, I have no problems with this either. I'm at a 5 as well.
Let's fucking go. Joe, it's not too late to give me my 5.
Nah, you get a 4.
You liked everything about it, though, Travis.
I know.
4.
That's what I'm saying. He has no complaints, but he doesn't give me 5s.
Hey,
I don't know how to improve.
You gotta earn them 5s.
Everybody else gave him a 5.
Hey, at least he didn't give me a 0. That's all I can. That's all I care about right now. I'm just trying to avoid those zeros.
Hey, why did John take a lead?
He's
Why
back.
did John take a leak? I don't know.
All right, Travis, go.
All right. 2 more matches and we're out of here.
All right, let's go.
Arturo Huas has announced a 16-man tournament to crown the #1 contender for the King of Combat title. Round 1 sees Blue Panther narrowly defeat Carmelo Hayes in the fast-paced matchup. Matt Cardona seals the victory from Seth Rollins after Jon Moxley betrayed his brother. Bam Bam Bigelow battled and beat Bobby Lashley in a Clash of the Titans. Killer Cross and Taz went to war, but Cross left with the victory. Josh Alexander outlasted Mitsuharu Misawa, and Nick Aldis survived Jay White after an injury forced the doctor to stop the match. Samoa Joe used his experience to get ahead of the young bull Powerhouse Hobbs, and John Cena proved dominance over Alex Shelley. In the quarterfinals, every competitor knew the stakes were even higher. The legendary Blue Panther had one too many tricks up his sleeve for Killer Cross and emerged victorious. After a War Dogs interference, Matt Cardona picked the bones of Bam Bam Bigelow to advance to the semifinals. Josh Alexander took Samoa Joe out with a C4 spike, and Nick Aldis countered the attitude adjustment into a tormentum to eliminate John Cena. The semifinals were set. Nick Aldis versus Matt Cardona, and Blue Panther versus Josh Alexander. Panther and Alexander put on an instant classic, each man leaving it all in the ring. Late in the match, Blue Panther went for his patented standing figure four leg lock, El Nudo Lagunero. But when he pivots to lock in the hold, Alexander reverses the maneuver. Alexander grapevines the leg and locks in an ankle lock, forcing the luchador to quit. In the last semifinal matchup, Matt Cardona was determined to win a war of attrition against Nick Aldis. Excuse me. Cardona brawled with Aldis, foregoing fancy footwork and technical mastery for hard strikes and innovative offense. Cardona used anything and everything to his advantage. The ropes, the apron, the turnbuckles, the steel posts. He even wrapped Aldis up in the ring skirt to get an edge. But in the end, the Brit was just too much, as a diving elbow drop to Cardona sealed the deal. The next number one contender for the King of Combat title will be the winner of Josh Alexander versus Nick Aldis. The following week on Clash, Nick Aldis is in the ring for a promo. 16 men went to war, and it all comes down to this. 2 men remain. 2 men believe they are the next King of Combat. 2 men who think they have what it takes to stare across the ring at the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. I just got to KOC a few weeks ago. I signed my deal just before night 1 of Kingdom Come went live. I gotta say, it hasn't been easy. No, it's been the hardest run of my life. You boys in KOC are the real deal. Trust me when I say nothing in this company is given and everything is earned. I almost didn't make it to this point a couple of times. Let's call a spade a spade. Jay White may very well have had my number, but I suppose the good Lord had my back. I don't like doing this accent, so I'm done with it.
Well, you said you like doing this accent, or you don't?
I don't like doing this accent, so
Keep
I'm done
doing
with
it. I was enjoying it. Keep going.
It's hard to do the promo with the emotion I need to do while I'm focusing on the fucking tally ho accent.
I get that 100%.
Yeah,
there goes your stipend.
That's fine. I'll take it. I went against the greatest of all time, John Cena, and I found a way to beat the best on that night. Last week, Matt Cardona did everything in his power to take the air from my lungs and push his cart forward. I found a way to survive, and I found a way to win. At No Remorse, Josh Alexander, I am going to survive. I am going to find a way to win. I am going to go on to Coronation, and I'm going to stay across from the ring from the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and I will be the next King of Combat. The crowd roars behind their chosen hero, but those cheers turn to boos when Josh Alexander's music hits. Alexander slowly walks to the ring and steps directly up to his No Remorse opponent. Nick, we haven't had the pleasure of meeting. Good to see you. Alexander extends his hand, and Nick Aldis shakes it. Pleasure's all mine, Josh. Aldis smiles to his opponent. Josh Alexander looks to the ground and looks back at Aldis. Look, I want you to hear this from me. I want you to hear this from me while I look you in your eyes. I'm going to do anything and everything I can to beat you at No Remorse. I will out-wrestle you. I will out-fight you. I will scratch, claw, and bite you. I will rip your head off your shoulders if it means getting an inch closer to becoming the King of Combat. It's nothing personal. I'm just better than you. Alexander tosses the microphone and the two men have an intense stare down. The Go Home show gets us one last face-to-face between Nick Aldis and Josh Alexander. Nick Aldis speaks first. Josh, last week you came off as a true gentleman. I respect your honesty. I expect nothing less from the talent of your stature. There was just one point that I disagreed with last week. I understand it's not personal. This is just business after all. I know the audience isn't going to like that. They don't want to see sportsmanship and respect. They'd rather see us hurl insults at one another and fake animosity that just doesn't exist. So that's not the point I disagree on. No, the point I disagree on was the bit where you said you were better than me. You might be. Who knows? But whether you are or not, it's truly irrelevant. Because whether you're better or not won't decide the victor of this battle. I, too, will do anything and everything to beat you, Josh. I will out-wrestle you. I will out-fight you. And if I have to, I'll rip your bloody eyes out. But you know that. So why come out with the bravado? Trying to intimidate me or trying to make me second-guess myself. We both know neither is afraid of the other. So why the song and dance? Make it make sense, Josh. Alexander scoffs at Aldis, and an annoyed grin fills his face. Nick, you just got here. So, yeah, I get it. You've been able to find a way to win all your matches in KOC thus far. But I'm not everybody else. You think this is some sort of gimmick, but it's not. Being king of combat is all I think about. It keeps me up at night. I'm obsessed with this. When I say I'll do anything, I mean anything to win this match and get one step closer to my dreams. See, being king of combat is more than just a personal pride for me. This is more food on in my kids' bellies. That's a better neighborhood for them to grow up in. That's better schools for them to learn in. That's life-changing. So it's not personal between you and I, but hear me loud and clear when I tell you this is damn personal for me. I don't think I'm better than you. I know I am. I've spent the last 8 months fighting anyone in this company that wanted to step up to take the International Heavyweight Championship from me. Only one man succeeded in putting a notch in the loss column in all that time. I am 78-1 in KOC. Yeah, Kyle Fletcher did the impossible. He survived a C4 spike and he beat me. 2 things 78 other men failed to do. I like to play the odds, Nick, and the odds are in my favor. It's not personal. I'm just better than you. I'm better than all 78 of those men, and just like at Coronation, I'll be better than Tanahashi. You had a hot few weeks. I've made beating these men into submission my livelihood. We are not the same. When I say I'll do anything, I'll break your fucking neck to get what I want. That's not because I don't like you. It's because my kids are more important than yours. I'll die for my kids, and goddamn it, I'll kill for them too. I have no honor. I abide by no code. I follow no rules. I am a maverick, and I will end your career if I have to. Nick Aldis and Alexander are eye to eye as Aldis begins to speak one last time. Josh, trust me when I say I hear you loud and clear, buddy. I just want to warn you. These manners won't be coming with me to No Remorse. You're going to have to purge the air from my lungs and make me bleed out to hold my shoulders to the canvas for 3 seconds, and you might as well forget about me tapping out. I would rather you pull my leg off my body before I give up. And No Remorse, after I beat you, you'll recognize I am one of the best in KOC. Alexander rebuttals. Nick, I know you're one of the best in KOC. In fact, I know you're one of the very best in the world. I'm just better. Alexander and Aldis drop the mics and stare eye to eye, trash-talking one another as they do. All right, time for the match. Aldis and Alexander circle the ring before Alexander stops and walks to the center, extending his hand to shake Aldis's. Alexander tells Aldis it's not personal. I just want to be the best. Aldis hesitates a second before accepting Alexander's invitation and shaking hands. Both men return to circling each other before stepping and locking horns with a collar and elbow tie-up. Alexander wastes little time transitioning into a waistlock takedown, putting Aldis on the canvas. Alexander slides down to grab the ankle of Aldis, but Nick rolls through, kicking Alexander off and into the ropes. Alexander comes off the ropes and blasts Aldis with a big rolling elbow, sending Aldis stumbling backwards, collapsing onto the second rope. Aldis rebounds off the ropes and lays into Alexander with a rebound lariat. Aldis rolls to his feet as Josh Alexander scrambles to his feet. Aldis lays into Alexander with a stiff European uppercut, sending him stumbling back. Aldis follows up with a series of European uppercuts, leaving Alexander dazed as Aldis rushes across the ring and rebounds off the ropes towards Alexander, but Alexander sprints towards Aldis, meeting him in the middle, flattening Aldis with a running crossbody. Alexander cradles Aldis' head in his arms and starts laying into Aldis with repeated stiff right hands. Alexander pulls Aldis to his feet and nails him with a hard Irish whip into the corner, flattening Aldis to the canvas face first. Alexander wastes little time before leaping onto Aldis and laying in some stiff forearms to the spine of Aldis. Alexander jerks Aldis up to his feet before scooping him up and planting him into the canvas with a powerbomb. Aldis tries to crawl away from the punishment, but Alexander is inflicting on his spine, but Alexander doesn't let him get far. Josh Alexander grabs hold of the ankle of Aldis and drags Aldis back to him. Alexander lifts Aldis from the mat with a deadlift waistlock before taking a few steps, carrying Aldis through the air, and then flipping Aldis overhead with a German suplex, crumpling Aldis' spine on top of itself. Alexander wipes his hands clean as if all the hard work is over. Alexander rises to his feet and notices Aldis has made his way under the bottom rope. Aldis tries to pull himself up to his feet on the apron as Alexander stalks over. Alexander goes to grab hold of Aldis, but Aldis slips between the top and middle ropes, driving a shoulder into the gut of Josh Alexander. Aldis follows up by pulling Alexander through the ropes so that his midsection is hanging on the middle rope. Aldis backs up to the corner, scales up to the second rope. Aldis leaps down with a leg drop onto the apron. But Alexander is one step ahead. Josh Alexander pushes his feet off, diving through the ropes and somersaulting onto the floor to dodge the leg drop. Aldis crashes down on the hardest part of the ring. Alexander flies in with a stiff forearm to the face immediately after impact. Alexander climbs onto the apron and pulls Aldis to his feet before nailing him with the German suplex onto the ring apron and dumping Aldis to the floor. Alexander hops down and pulls Aldis off the floor by the waist and tosses him back with authority as he nails Aldis with a released German suplex into the barricade, leaving a broken Aldis in a heap on the floor. Alexander wastes a little time continuing his assault. Alexander pulls Aldis to his feet and sends him crashing into the ring apron with an apron powerbomb. Alexander pushes Aldis back into the apron and climbs up after him. Alexander lifts Aldis in his arms and with his arms out in front. Alexander lifts Aldis in his arms out in front of him and drops down, slamming Aldis into the ropes with a falling apron power slam before shoving Aldis into the ring. Alexander rolls under the bottom rope and begins stalking a fallen Aldis. Alexander sizes Aldis up. Fuck, I keep losing my place, sorry. Sizes Aldis up and goes for the ankle lock, but Aldis uses a last-ditch effort to escape, somersaulting forward and kicking Alexander off, shooting Alexander shoulder first into the ring post in the corner. Aldis scrambles to try to maintain momentum, nailing Alexander with a double powerbomb before stumbling back into the ropes and dropping to a knee from exhaustion. Aldis pulls himself to his feet again, stumbling over to Josh Alexander, dragging him to his feet. Aldis tries one more time to hit a powerbomb and is successful, though he falls to the canvas as well, and both men are down. Both men slowly crawl to the ropes on opposite sides of the ring. Josh Alexander pulls himself to his feet first, and as Aldis rises, Alexander rushes in, but right as he gets to Aldis reverses, pushing Alexander into the air and catching him with a tormentum, which is his twisting Samoan drop. and immediately scrambles over for a pin. Aldis hooks the legs. 1, 2, no. Alexander gets his shoulders up off the canvas at the last minute. Aldis can't believe it as he stares into the distance, looking shocked, heartbroken, and perhaps even defeated. Alexander notices Aldis hesitating and jumps on the opportunity, leaping from the canvas and crashing into the back of Aldis' skull with a nasty forearm, knocking the lights out of Aldis. Alexander pulls Aldis to his feet and hits a bridging Northern Light suplex, but Aldis gets his shoulder up just before the 3 count. Alexander is furious as he pulls Aldis up to his feet and Irish whips him into the corner. Alexander runs in with a lariat into the corner, followed by several stiff knees to the gut of Aldis. Alexander pulls Aldis from the corner and goes for a vertical suplex, but Aldis kicks his feet and is able to sway momentum to put his feet back on solid ground. Alexander again goes for the vertical suplex, but again is blocked by Aldis, this time grabbing hold of Alexander's singlet to maintain his footing. Then out of nowhere, Aldis nails Alexander with a vertical suplex of his own. Both men scramble and stumble to their feet. Alexander goes for a lariat, but Aldis ducks under and counters with a spine shaker, which is his belly to back side slam. Aldis rolls under the bottom rope to the ring apron before scrambling to his feet. Aldis pulls back and hurls himself over the top rope, crashing into the chest of Alexander with a slingshot elbow drop. Aldis goes for the cover. 1, 2, no. Just before the 3, Alexander gets his foot on the bottom rope to break the count. Aldis can't believe it. What more does he have to do to put this one away? Aldis pulls Alexander up to his feet and lifts him in the air with a scoop lift before transitioning into a vertical suplex position. But Alexander drops behind Aldis, nailing him with an Argentine powerbomb. Alexander roars out as he lowers the straps on his singlet and rips Aldis to his feet. Alexander puts Aldis up and slams Aldis down head first onto the canvas with a C4 spike. Alexander quickly covers Aldis to end this match, but Aldis does the unthinkable and kicks out with little time left to spare before the 3. Alexander is incensed. He can't believe it. Alexander drags Aldis' still lifeless body and positions him face down on the canvas diagonally against the corner. Alexander begins to stomp the lower back of Aldis repeatedly as he braces himself on with the top rope. Alexander then climbs to the second rope and leaps down with a double knee drop to the spine of Aldis as Aldis screams out. Alexander drags Aldis to the center of the mat and begins to lock in the ankle lock, but then he just stops as an evil smile fills his face. Alexander turns Aldis over his back onto the canvas before grabbing his other leg. Josh Alexander then proceeds to lock in the King's Lynn Cloverleaf. Nick Aldis is his own patented submission. Nick Aldis screams out in pain as Alexander sinks in the submission deeper, ripping apart the lower spine of Nick Aldis. Aldis tries to crawl to the ropes, and just before his fingers clasp the bottom ropes, Alexander drags him back to the center of the ring. Aldis is crying out in pain as Alexander wrenches the hold deeper. It looks like the end of the road for Aldis unless he can figure something out. Aldis looks like he's going to pass out rather than tap out as he drops from his forearms to his chest, but continues reaching with his hand for the ropes. Just as it looks like all hope is lost, Aldis reaches back and grabs hold of Alexander's ankle and is able to pull it towards his own chest, sending Alexander falling face first into the canvas. Aldis twists the ankle of Alexander with fury as he intertwines his legs around Alexander's in a grapevine. Alexander is now the one shouting in pain as he's locked in his own submission move and tries to claw for the ropes, but he just can't get any forward momentum. Alexander slams his fist into the canvas repeatedly before biting his own hand to try to block out the pain and force himself not to tap out. Alexander finally musters the strength to fight back, mule kicking Aldis in the face with his free leg, eventually breaking free from Aldis' grip. Both men stagger to their feet, and Alexander goes for a lariat, but Aldis ducks underneath and scoops Alexander up, flattening him with an MDD, which is the Michinoku Driver 2, as the crowd comes unglued. Nick Aldis crawls to the ropes, slides under the bottom rope and onto the ring apron, and begins to pull himself to his feet. Aldis slowly scales the corners, stopping once he reaches the top. A visibly broken and exhausted Nick Aldis hesitates for just a moment as he stares down at Alexander and says, It's not personal. I'm just better. Aldis dives off the top rope, giving an elbowed into the chest, driving an elbow into the chest of Alexander with a diving elbow drop. Aldis hooks the leg of Alexander for the pin and the win, becoming the new number 1 contender.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this match. I feel like the story wasn't like super popping out for me at all, but the match was really good. I'm gonna go with 375 on this.
Yeah, I'm about where he's at with it. I think the match was really good. Story was cool for me. It was just cool, but the actual match was really good. So I'm also at a 3.75. I think he rated perfectly.
Travis, can you repeat the finish for me?
Yeah, just so 1 second, sorry. So basically, they both stagger to their feet. Alexander goes for a lariat, but Aldis ducks underneath and hits him with a Michinoku Driver 2. Aldis slowly climbs the top rope. He tells Alexander, it's not personal, I'm just better. And then he dives off for his diving elbow drop and gets the pin.
Okay. Couple things. This is probably my least favorite tonight. It's not bad.
I figured it would be. It's not your style.
Yeah, very much not my style. Not a Nick Aldis fan. I do like Josh Alexander. I do fuck with him. And not just because of that, but that is one reason that I think the wrong man won. I just
Remember, we're rating his version of him.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to go into that. In the promos, I just felt that Josh Alexander was a lot more compelling for his like need to win this match, if that makes sense. It felt like Aldis was just kind of like, pat on the back, little bro, while like Josh Alexander's like, I'm gonna do this for my fucking family. You know what I mean? I just felt going in that Josh Alexander should have won. And also Travis is now pro cursing in promos. I do
Yep.
appreciate that. This man used to hate on us for cursing. Now he's in the game. So enjoy your AEW.
I use it sparingly. I feel like you guys sprinkle it in every 2 promos.
I mean,
Nope.
I do it in my real life, so.
So with that said, I'm gonna leave this at a perfect mid and give it a 3.
Okay.
Isn't 2.5 a mid?
No.
Depends on who you talk to.
Asking.
No, because also when 2.5 technically isn't mid because we have 0.5 is the lowest score you can give.
Besides the 1-0 every year.
The widely accepted mid for BookIt versus 3. That's why it's always so funny when you say you're like everything's so great and then you give me a 3. It's like, oh, it's mid. It's not great. It's like not even good. Like
And then
Speaking of
Travis
mid,
is
this
a
is-
2.75 because that's what he considers mid.
actually it's a 2.5. It's
2.5?
2.5 has always been the mid for me. But yeah.
Yeah, thank God.
Wait,
2.5 is low.
I have a quick question.
2.5 is
forgot to
ass
ask.
for me.
What's a 0 then? Go ahead, Joe.
Mega
Sorry.
ass.
What'd you say?
Slytherin.
I said
What kind of
mega
ass?
Mega.
I thought that was the letter that comes after him. I said, John, you need to chill the fuck out. You're getting a little too bold.
For Josh Alexander, because wasn't he in one of your builds earlier?
He was he's not really in the builds. He at the last pay-per-view, he lost the title to Kyle Fletcher.
Okay, I was just wondering if that happened to run on the same day as like during this build at all.
Well, it's the same. No, that was like, it's like if he at Kingdom Come is like WrestleMania. So at WrestleMania, he dropped our equivalent of the Intercontinental title.
Okay.
Then the night after WrestleMania, he was announced to be in a title or in a tournament for the WWE title, essentially. So he was mentioned in a build for Kyle Fletcher, but he wasn't actually a part of that build with Steve Corino.
Okay, that makes sense. Please continue.
Who all still needs to
All
rate?
right.
I think it's just. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just thought it was mid across the board. I didn't really get excited much about it. I mean, you wrote it well. It just didn't do anything for me all like that. I'm going just 3 across the board.
I'm with Joe and Kenny. I'm at a 3.75, but I'm the opposite of John. I liked Nick Aldis's character and his promos more than I liked Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander came off as like the generic, I'm gonna do it for the family. While like Nick Aldis, I liked his, I guess, kind of sarcastic attitude. Not really sarcastic, but like kinda like
Yeah.
snide. I guess snide would be the word I'm looking for.
That's fair. So everybody's graded, right?
Snipe.
Yeah.
So I will say that Josh Alexander's character is very similar to like Drew McIntyre's character right now, where like he keeps trying to win and he keeps like coming just that short. So like that's a story note to pay attention to. All right, main event. All right, at Kingdom Come, Alba Fire defended her Queen of Combat title against the Eradicator Rhea Ripley in a 6-sided steel cage match. The two women put it all on the line, but in the end, Rhea Ripley was able to hit Alba Fire with the Riptide to become the Queen of Combat for the second time. On the first episode of Clash, the Queen of Combat is in the ring for a promo. Rhea tells the world that, once again, Mommy is on top, and the Eradicator is the standard now. Ripley says she did everything she could to claw her way back to the QOC title, and finally, she has it back in her possession. Before Rhea can get too far into her celebration, she is interrupted by the juggernaut Jordan Grace. Grace walks to the ring and congratulates Rhea. Grace tells Rhea that she respects her and she respects what she's done. But if you think now that you're champ you get a second to rest, you've already slipped, because the juggernaut doesn't wait; she hunts. Grace circles around Rhea Ripley with her eyes locked in on the title. The crowd is electric as the two powerhouse babyfaces size each other up. Rhea smirks and lifts the title between them. You want to step up, Jordan? Fine. Just be careful what you ask for. When you come for the queen, you best not miss. You can feel the tensions rise as the two women come face to face, neither willing to take a step back. The next week on Clash, Jordan Grace goes one-on-one with a former international women's champion, Kairi Sane, and the winner will go on to face Rhea Ripley for the Queen of Combat title at No Remorse. Ariel Helwani and Chael Sonnen are in commentary, framing the match as a prove-it moment for Grace. Telling her to do with her actions what she said with her words last week. Grace dominates the match early on, but Kairi Sane is able to hang in there and push the Juggernaut to her limit. Sane ends up getting Grace down and leaps onto her with an insane elbow drop. But Grace has no quit in her. Grace powers out of the pin attempt and nails Sane with a Juggernaut driver to win the match. After the match, Grace sits on the canvas and speaks directly into the camera. 1 down, 1 to go. The countdown to No Remorse starts now, my queen. Grace smirks as the segment ends. The next week, the Queen of Combat is in the ring. You did it, Jordan. You won your match last week, and now we're set to face each other one-on-one at No Remorse. I honestly can't wait, because if I'm being truthful, I respect you. You're a beast, Jordan. Very few women can match me in this ring, and don't let my previous praise mislead you, because you can't either. I am the best woman on the planet, and I'll be damned if I lose this bloody title 10 weeks after winning it. After I worked so hard to get it back. Yeah, you're strong, but I'm stronger. I'm faster. I'm smarter. At No Remorse, I will have to make an example out of you. I'm sorry, Jordan. Later in the night, Jordan Grace responds in the backstage promo. She says that Rhea Ripley has gotten too comfortable. She used to be a monster, but the woman she's been speaking to since Kingdom Come isn't the same woman that held the QOC the first time. Rhea used to be hungry, unpredictable, and violent. Rhea used to be special. Now she's just another girl on the roster using her body to get ahead. Grace says she doesn't want to face the poster girl at No Remorse. She wants to face the monster, the Eradicator, Rhea Bloody Ripley. Next week, Rhea Ripley is in the ring. You want unpredictable, Jordan. You want violence. Well, bring your ass out here and we can get real bloody violent. I'm sick of the talk. We've said all there is to say. I want action. Come show me how comfortable I've gotten. Jordan Grace comes out on the stage and tells Rhea that she was just thinking the exact same thing. So how about they say screw No Remorse and we pit the Eradicator versus the Juggernaut for the Queen of Combat title tonight. Rhea accepts and the match is set for the main event. Both women go all out in a heavy-hitting main event, both women working stiff and leaving it all in the ring, neither able to create separation from the other. The crowd is on fire as the two babyfaces go at it in a battle of the Titans. Rhea Ripley goes for the Riptide, but Jordan reverses it and nails Ripley with a Juggernaut driver. She goes for the pin, but before the three is counted, Camille hits the ring and attacks Grace. Then out of nowhere, Alba Fire hits the ring and begins attacking Rhea Ripley. The show ends with Fire holding the title in the sky as she and Camille stand over a fallen Ripley and Grace. Ripley and Grace are unlikely allies on the... Are unlikely allies on the next episode of Clash as the two powerhouses face off against Camille and Alba Fire in a tag team match. The match is a great one, but it's clear that Camille and Fire are the more cohesive allies. The match ends after Camille dodges a pounce from Grace and the Juggernaut connects with Rhea Ripley. Grace turns into a spear from Camille and Camille then pins Ripley to win the match. Rhea and Grace have an in-ring argument and shoving contest after the match that sees Ripley take her title and leave Grace in the ring. The next week, Rhea confronts Jordan backstage. Rhea accuses Jordan of being reckless and selfish last week. Rhea states that Grace just wanted to soften Ripley up for No Remorse. Maybe if you were focused on our match last week instead of your ego, we might have won. Ripley and Grace stare each other down before Ripley walks off, leaving Grace glaring after her. The next week, we see two singles matches between the four women. In the first matchup, Jordan Grace goes up against former Queen of Combat Alba Fire. Grace and Fire have a competitive match, but the Juggernaut is simply too much. Grace pins Fire clean after hitting her with the Juggernaut driver. Later in the night, Rhea Ripley and Camille go head-to-head in a battle of powerhouses. The two are knocking each other silly with the whole match. Rhea Ripley gets Camille up for the Riptide, but Alba Fire interferes and hits a basement dropkick to Ripley's knee to force a disqualification. Camille and Fire assault the Queen of Combat until the Juggernaut's music hits and Jordan Grace hits the ring to even the odds. Rhea Ripley and Jordan Grace clear the ring, but accidentally bump back into one another, nearly leading to blows. The tension between champion and challenger is still high. On the following episode of Clash, Rhea Ripley and Jordan Grace are once again teamed up against Alba Fire and Camille in tag team action. Ripley and Grace are locked in. Camille with a Juggernaut driver. Rhea folds Fire in half for the pin and the win. After the match, Grace hands Rhea the QOC, but holds on to it for just a second longer than Ripley would like. Grace raises Ripley's arm, but keeps her eyes on the QOC, something that Ripley doesn't miss. The next week, Rhea comes to the ring and tells the world that Jordan Grace has truly earned her respect. She is a formidable opponent who truly pushes Ripley to her limits. But if you think that means you're going to take my crown, you had better wake up because you've got to be dreaming. Grace interrupts and tells Ripley she's not looking for Ripley's respect. She wants the QOC. Before they can get much further in their conversation, Camille and Alba Fire again attack while the babyfaces' backs are turned, leaving the champion and challenger lying as they stand tall to end the segment. Arturo Huas announces that since he can't seem to keep these four away from each other, at No Remorse it'll be Rhea Ripley versus Jordan Grace versus Alba Fire versus Camille for the Queen of Combat title. The bell rings and all four women look amongst each other before anyone else can make a move. Camille sprints across the ring and crushes Rhea Ripley with a nasty spear, cutting the champion in half. Camille pulls lifeless Ripley to her feet and dumps her through the ropes into the floor. Camille looks at Jordan Grace and Alba Fire, who both look shocked. After a nod to Alba Fire, Camille stares daggers through Jordan Grace. Grace takes the hint and wastes no time taking the fight to the powerhouse, unloading with wild rights and lefts, forcing Camille to cover up and back into the corner. Eventually, Camille grabs Grace by the neck and jaw and flings her back with such force that Grace leaves her feet, colliding with the canvas on the back of her neck and shoulders, rolling backwards to her feet as she wobbles. Out of nowhere, Alba Fire shoots in, hitting Grace with a complete shot, planting the Juggernaut on the canvas. Fire quickly transitions into a Koji clutch, and Grace begins flailing. Camille sees what's playing out across the ring and stalks Fire and Grace. Camille grabs hold of Fire and pulls her off of Grace and to her feet effortlessly. Fire protests against the powerhouse stopping the submission. Camille shakes her head and tells Fire she's not here to watch Alba Fire become the queen of combat. She's here to become the queen of combat herself. Fire looks at Camille with indignation, while Camille looks back at her with unbridled defiance. As tensions rise and the two heels inch towards each other, Jordan Grace comes from out of nowhere, blasting Camille with a big forearm to the face, sending the powerhouse stumbling back. Fire opens up with several rights and lefts before hitting the ropes and leaping onto Grace's shoulders, going for a Hurricane Rana, but Grace blocks the momentum of Fire and pulls her foe back onto her shoulders before slamming her into the canvas with a sit-out powerbomb. Grace pops back to her feet and immediately locks eyes with Camille across the ring. Camille tells Grace that attacking her was a big mistake because now she's going to destroy her. Camille gets halfway across the ring when out of nowhere, Rhea Ripley returns to the action, sneaking behind Camille and tossing her with a released German suplex. Ripley continues her assault on Camille, blasting her with strikes as Camille scrambles trying to flee. Rhea Ripley grabs hold of Camille with a cravat French necktie and begins to unload on Camille's skull with knees while Ripley cradles her head. On the other side of the ring, Grace puts Fire in the air for a suplex, but Fire flails her legs, forcing Grace to lose her balance. Grace stumbles back into the ropes, and the momentum sends both women over the top rope and crashing to the floor. Ripley sees this play out and sees an opportunity to get an edge on all three of her title challengers. So Rhea Irish whips Camille into the ropes and meets her with a huge lariat, sending Camille to the floor to join the two other competitors. Rhea wastes no time sprinting the distance of the ring and back before leaping over the top rope, throwing her body into her opponents with a tope con hilo to all three women. Camille and Grace take the brunt of the attack, with Fire only taking minimal damage. Ripley slowly rises to her feet, taking some damage herself. When she gets to her feet, Fire is already a step ahead of her, blasting Ripley with the QOC belt in the back of Ripley's head. Fire drags Ripley's body to the ring and pushes her under the bottom rope. Fire then scales the corner to the top rope and leaps down, nailing Ripley with a swanton bomb. Fire goes for the pin, but just after the referee counts 2, Fire is ripped from the ring by her ankle by Camille. Camille and Fire are face-to-face, jawing back and forth again. The two argue and each get more animated the longer it goes. Then out of nowhere, both women eat a boot from Rhea Ripley as Ripley hits a baseball slide, smacking both women in the face. The two heels turn directly into a double lariat from Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace and Rhea Ripley lock eyes as the final two women standing. Rhea smiles and opens her arms wide as she backs away from the ropes towards the center of the ring. Ripley tells Grace to come on and let them do what they were supposed to do all along. The Eradicator versus the Juggernaut one-on-one. Grace smiles back and nods before getting into the ring. The two powerhouses come face-to-face and the crowd erupts. Jordan Grace puts her open palm in the air with her eyes locked in on Ripley. Ripley looks at the hand and then back to Grace before reaching up and interlacing her fingers with Grace's. Grace and Ripley slowly raise their hands simultaneously and lock their fingers together. The two women compete in a test of strength, both trying to prove themselves as the alpha of KOC. But neither woman is able to prove they're stronger than the other. The two women break their holds after the stalemate with visible frustration on both their faces. Grace tells Ripley to give her her best shot. Ripley cracks Grace with a big right hand, and Grace returns the favor. Both women exchange shots back and forth, but Ripley gets the advantage after a nasty headbutt puts Grace on Dream Street. Ripley immediately puts a boot in the gut of Grace and goes for the riptide. As Ripley pulls Grace into the sky, she is blasted with a big boot from Camille, putting the champion and the Juggernaut on the canvas. Camille kicks Grace aside and pulls Ripley to her feet. Camille immediately hits Ripley with a sit-out dominator and goes for the pin, which is quickly broken up by Grace. Grace and Camille are trading shots in the center of the ring, but Grace hits just a little harder, dazing Camille with a big right hand. Grace quickly follows up, nailing Camille with a Juggernaut driver, which is her pump handle pile driver, immediately going for the pin. The pin is broken up by a basement drop kick from Alba Fire to Grace. Fire lights Grace up with a flurry of strikes that finishes with a spinning back kick to the gut of Grace followed immediately by a gory bomb. Before Fire can capitalize, she is hit with a boot to the face from Rhea Ripley. Ripley Irish whips Fire into the corner and then shoves her to the top rope. Ripley climbs up after her and then leaps off with a superplex. Ripley slowly crawls to the ropes and begins pulling herself to her feet when Jordynne Grace comes out of nowhere, shoving Rhea Ripley through the ropes into the floor. Grace scrambles over to Fire and drags her body in front of the corner. Grace hits the corner and nails Fire with a fall from Grace, which is a Vader bomb. Grace hooks the legs but is immediately pulled to her feet by Camille. Camille grabs hold of Jordynne Grace, throwing her onto Camille's shoulders. Camille then hits a rolling fireman's carry to the Juggernaut. As Camille rolls back to her feet, she throws her hands out wide, showcasing her dominance to the crowd, but is quickly blasted by a bicycle kick from Rhea Ripley, falling through the ropes into the floor. Ripley surveys the ring and sees Alba Fire and Jordynne Grace on the canvas. Ripley shoves Grace under the bottom rope and to the floor with her boot, and then runs over to Fire. Rhea rips Fire to her feet and then crushes her with a riptide. Rhea Ripley puts Fire in the pretzel pin for the 1, 2, 3. The Queen of Combat retains her crown. That's it. This is where you guys talk.
All right, I'll go if everyone else is afraid. I think you did a really good job for it being a fatal 4-way.
Thanks.
I feel like it's hard to keep up with the story for all this, but I think you did a good job, and the fact that like you could tell who like the two main characters were important too. So I think the story was pretty good overall. I thought the match was good. I'm gonna go with a 4.25 on this.
Thank you kindly.
So for me, I wish that we got more information on like the relationship between Alba Fire and Camille in the story, because they were helping each other pretty much 99% of the way, and then obviously during the match they want to become champions, and you did play on that. But I wish I knew more about like why they were even together to begin with.
That's fair.
So the story was good, not great. I do think the right person won, and the match itself was great. The match was great. I'm gonna give you a 3.51, and the 1 cent is for your accent for Rhea Ripley.
Thanks, because that shit was not good. Not easy either.
I'm stronger, faster.
I think I sounded Scottish, not even Australian.
No,
You
not this
sounded
time you did. That one time you did. I forgot who you was impersonating the last
You
show.
sounded like that girl from Monsters Incorporated for a minute when you were doing her. The Mike Wazowski girl.
Mike Wazowski, where's your paperwork?
Always watching, Wazowski.
My explanation on this match is pretty simple. I liked it. I didn't love it. Would watch it again. But I don't have any other notes. I do agree with Damon's point about the missing interactions between Camille and Fire. I'm gonna give this a 3.5. It's above mid, pretty decent, but it did not like pop me.
That's fine.
That's where I'm at too. I'm literally at a 3.5 as well. I was trying to think if there's anything else that would like have it shoot up a little more, but yeah, 3.5 is where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree.
What did Joe give me? A 4 something?
He gave you
4.25?
a 4.25, but that's
Thank
because
you,
Rhea
Joe.
Ripley was in it.
Yeah, I mean they ain't shit. So
Well, at least I stayed true to the card. The main event got the highest score from Joe, so
Well, I'm assuming we want to get into where to find who. So, we'll kind of
Where's Waldo?
run it. D-Money, can we find you anywhere?
You can find me on anything not owned by that piece of human feces, Elon Musk. at dumbmoney213, DAMONEY T13.
What about you, Mike?
No, leave me alone.
Fuck him. All right. Bad guy, tell me about your 37 shows real quick.
You can catch me on all social medias at Bad Guy Spoken. Catch the Bad Guy Spoken podcast on YouTube's. And you can also catch Hood Movie Review, where we review all your favorite and not so favorite Hood movies. That's it.
Don't forget to watch the best Christmas movie ever made. When the Grinch Stole Bitches.
Oh, I was like, so where you going with this?
All right.
You can follow me on all social media at I am Travvy T. That's at IAMTRAVVYT on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube's Belly, Pornhub, OnlyFans.
Belly.
And-
Belly? Like the movie?
No, I told you all about Belly last week.
I don't remember.
And follow me on WWE Slam. I am Travvy T.
And Goat Simulator.
I'm not on Goat Simulator as a like. I don't have an account.
That's what you think.
Well, I might have an account, but it's not I am Travvy T
be
for
on
sure.
there.
That's not my PS5 handle. I think that's what they're called.
I don't even know what anybody's
PSN.
is anymore.
I know what yours is. It's the same thing as all yours. Everything you have. Is.
I realized that I knew what mine was afterwards, but
I
don't
almost
know
just said it on.
yours.
I almost just said it on air, and I was like, "Well,
I mean, it wouldn't matter. I don't fucking log in enough for anybody.
I was gonna say at least one of the 4 people that listen to the show is gonna add you on PlayStation, and it's gonna be my fault. They're gonna find. They're gonna know where to find you.
Well, I mean,
They're not gonna leave you alone.
They
But
can
where's
add me.
Waldo?
I won't accept anybody because I don't go on.
Fuck him.
What?
Too good. All right, Joe, where can we find you?
Hibernating. It's wintertime. See ya.
Fuck
All right,
him. He
let's
built
go to
weird.
bed.
And if you want to find us anywhere, T3 media.com, and you can go to the /store and buy a t-shirt for just about any fucking buddy or any fucking idea we've ever had. With that said, that's been an episode of Book It. See ya.
Bye.